Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Yes She Can Project podcast. I am so happy today to be joined by the gorgeous Mary Jane. Hello, Mary Jane.
Hello, hi Michelle. Lovely to see you. You look
Thank you.
lovely. I love your lipstick and your earrings.
Oh,
Very good.
thanks.
Very good.
Just cheap ones, really. Thanks. Um, so, for anyone who doesn't know, maybe hasn't come across you before, could you give me like a quick introduction into who you are and what you do, please?
Yes, well, my name is Mary Jane Riley. I am a writer. I live in Suffolk, on the Suffolk-Norfolk border. I was a BBC journalist for many years and then managed to worm my way into writing full time, which is I'm very lucky to do, and I love it. I sit here in my little, well, fourth bedroom in the house, third bedroom in the house, and I've got a beautiful common outside that I can watch the horses go along and cows and goodness knows what. So yeah.
Oh, bless you. You touched upon there, Mary Jane, about you being a former BBC journalist. How d Let's kind of take it back a bit. How did you get into journalism in the first place?
Well, it was a bit of luck because I was at university
Yeah.
a long time ago, and it came to the third year, and I didn't know what I wanted to do at all. And I remember talking to one of my tutors, and she sort of said, "I think you should be a lawyer." And I thought, I don't
Okay.
want to be a lawyer. So I went into the sort of careers office room, whatever, and saw an advert for BBC Local Radio.
Oh,
And at that time, they were advertising for people to do the technical stuff
okay.
on radio. So I thought, oh, well, I love radio. I've always listened to all my life. I've listened to radio, and so I thought, oh, I'll give it a go. Why not? You never know. And I managed to get a job at BBC Radio Leicester. So that's how I
Oh,
started.
wow.
And then I basically was opening microphones, putting on records. We had gramophone records at that time, and ushering visitors through to the studio. And after a while, I took over I didn't take over, I filled in for the mid-morning program on BBC Radio Leicester, and that was very good.
Wow.
And then we were all sent on a course. Yes, it was, I hadn't been at Radio Leicester for that long. Went on a course in London, which was in a building, which is now the Langham Hotel, if anyone knows,
Oh,
near London, right by Broadcasting House. And there were 10 of us on the course, and two were women, one of which was
okay.
me, and the other eight were men. And that's where I met my husband. So,
Oh, that's so
and he was, yeah,
nice.
well, he was working at BBC Radio Brighton at the time. So about a year or so later, we married. I moved to Brighton. Again, I was doing most of the technical stuff until I had to fill in with uh, quite by chance, fill in for somebody. And they liked my voice, and I got a full-time show on BBC Radio Brighton.
Oh my
And
gosh,
so
that's
that was
so
good.
nice.
And then we moved up here because my husband got a job at BBC up in Norwich, so Look East, BBC Look East. And then I worked at various radio stations. I had three children by this time, so I did sort of part-time work.
Yeah.
BBC Radio Norfolk, at Broadland. I used to do a late night show, that's a commercial station.
Wow.
And I was one of the first voices on BBC Radio Suffolk when that started. Uh, Spent quite a lot of time doing that. So what I was doing mostly was magazine type programs. So I was interviewing a
Okay.
lot of authors.
Yeah.
I was interviewing politicians, quite famous people, ordinary people as well, lots of people from around the county. And at that time, I was trying to write. I mean, I'd written since I was a little girl. You
Oh,
scratch a writer, and you normally find that they've been
yeah.
writing for a while without any thought of writing full time, because people like me didn't do that. I mean, I knew nothing about the publishing world
Mhm.
at all, but I was still trying to write a bit. And when the children were when they were babies and they were having a sleep and I wasn't working, I used to try and scribble short stories
Oh.
and that sort of thing. But
Was
nothing
there
really
was
happened. They
there a
didn't go
particular
anywhere.
Was there a particular genre that you used to write
Oh,
about?
they were like romantic-y type short stories
Ah,
for women's mag. They were aimed at women's magazines. I mean, I eventually did get published in women's magazines, which was fantastic.
amazing.
Um, but that took a while, and it wasn't until the children were a fair bit older, and I stopped doing radio for various reasons, mostly because at the time I wanted a bit more time to myself as well.
Okay.
And I started work on the BBC News website. And I used to try and do early shifts so I could come home and
Yeah.
write. Because by now I thought, I really want to do this.
It's like you've
I've
been bitten
got,
by the bug.
yeah, well, you sort of think, if I don't do it, I'm never going to do it,
Yeah, totally.
and I knew there was a high chance of failure, but you thought, well, if you don't try, you're
Yeah.
not going to do it. So I did get some two or three stories in women's magazines, which was really exciting.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And then I tried to write for Mills and Boon because I thought,
Wow.
well, no, Mills and Boon, that's all right. Bit of a romance, I could write that.
I could
It
do
is
it.
so hard,
Is it?
really hard,
Okay.
really hard. I think the hardest writing is to make your book read really easily.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And Mills and Boon, they write for a particular market. You read the books really easily, and they leave you with a nice feeling.
Hmm.
Uh, they are a great book for what they are,
Yeah.
but it's very, very hard to get it right. The
Yeah.
formula, if you like, really hard to get it right. So I didn't get it right at all.
Okay.
So I thought, right, well, okay. So I was doing the journalism bit, and I was still working for the website, and I was still trying to write. And I thought, well, what do I really like to write? What do I like to read?
Yes, that's
And I
important.
thought, yeah, I like crime.
Okay.
And is this okay? I'm not sort of rushing on too much for you. It's all right, is it?
No, it
I
might
realize,
enter into my next question.
I am aware I can gabble, especially when it comes to writing, because I love talking about writing.
Ah,
But I interviewed Ruth Rendell. Now, Ruth Rendell was a very successful crime author, psychological thrillers she used to
she's
write.
amazing.
Yeah. And she was very scary to interview.
I bet.
She was very hard to interview. But I thought, right, I'm going to ask her. I'm going to just see. I said, so I said, I've been doing some writing myself, and can you tell me, give me any hints or tips? And she
Yeah.
looked at me, and she had icy blue eyes, and she said, just write.
Okay. Yes, Ruth.
Okay. So, and I mean that is it. So yes, so I was doing the journalism, and then I was just writing. So
Yeah.
I suppose I've told you a little bit more about I've told you about the getting into journalism and stuff. I enjoyed it. And I
Yeah.
loved being on the radio. I love the radio. I enjoyed writing news stories for the website. That was good, lovely people,
Yeah.
great fun. But it wasn't really what I wanted to do.
Okay.
And of course, time is passing.
So do you think, Mary Jane, with the serendipity of those kind of meetings with Ruth in particular, and then obviously the people that you'd interviewed over the course of your career to that point, do you think that influenced the way that you were able to write? Did you notice like a shift or a moving forward of your writing direction?
Yes, I think so, because I thought, as you say, I did interview a lot of writers, a lot of people, and I thought, well, if they can do it, why can't I do it?
Definitely.
Why can't I give it a go? But and also, of course, as a journalist, you're a sort of a jack of all trades and master of none, aren't you, really?
No,
But
I don't think so.
oh, I think so. I think so. But of course, I was learning a lot about writers and a lot about publishing,
Yeah.
by talking to these people. As I say learning, it was unconscious learning, I think.
Yeah.
It's sort of absorbing what they were
Hmm.
doing. And I sort of thought, well, if I can do it, if they can do it, why can't I?
Yeah.
And then a very good friend, and I decided, we really like this writing lark, trying to do short stories. So we joined a local writing group,
Ah,
which was great fun. And we produced several little magazines every month, a magazine every month for about a year, which is great. And my friend and I also did a course at the University of East Anglia, which
Okay.
was very famous for writers. It's turned out a lot of Booker Prize winners and all that sort of stuff.
Wow.
So not that I
In good
aspire to that.
company.
But so we did a course there, which we thoroughly enjoyed, and the our tutor was such a nice man. Sadly, he's dead now, but he
Oh,
sort of said, if you can write, why don't you, do something with your writing? Don't
yeah.
just put it in a drawer. It's fine if you want to if you want to write and put it in a drawer. I always say to people, and they talk about what they were writing, what you're
Yeah.
writing for. Are you writing just for you? Absolutely fine, because it can be very therapeutic,
It can.
which we could talk about, a bit later if you like. Are you writing just for your family, which a lot of
Yeah.
people do, or do you want other people to read it? And I thought, well, I want to entertain people. I want people to read something and enjoy it and come away
Okay.
thinking, oh, that was really good. Um, so boosted by sort of Alistair Whisker's words, and boosted by the fact I'd been writing, and Sarah, my friend, she wanted to do writing as well. So
Yeah.
we sort of got there, and talking to Ruth Rendell and all that sort of thing. So I did start writing quite seriously. I thought, right, this is no good. I can't just sort of write something here and there. I've got to
Yeah.
be a little bit more disciplined about it. So that's when I started to do a lot of, as I said earlier, about doing early shifts at work, which I was able to
Yeah.
do. So I could come home and start writing. Well, I have a nap first. You
Yeah, of course.
and then, of course, I
A
had to
quick
do,
glass of wine.
yeah, exactly, and dinner for the children that were still around. But then I would do some writing, and eventually, I had produced a book, a
Oh,
crime book. Um,
bless you.
because I thought, right, well, who's the main hero heroine?
Yeah,
And I thought, well, she's got to be a journalist, because that's what I know about.
of course.
Got to be set in Suffolk, because
Mhm.
I know Suffolk and it's a beautiful county. And I thought, well, what's the premise? And I thought, well, what if I had to interview someone who had previously had a devastating effect on my family? And that was my starting point.
Wow.
So I wrote a book, and luckily got an agent. I sent it
Oh,
out, and
congratulations.
to a literary agent, and she phoned me. I'd got back from work, and I thought, right, I'll have a nap now. So I took everything off, because I, take my clothes off. Phone went. So I answered the phone. I was completely naked,
Oh my
3 o'clock in the
gosh.
afternoon, and Teresa phoned, and she started talking to me about my book that I'd sent her. And I hadn't got a pen, I hadn't got a piece of paper, I hadn't
Haven't
got my
got any
manuscript,
pockets.
no pockets. I was terrified. So I didn't know what she was going to say. Anyway, and eventually I said, well, are you going to represent me? She said, yes, of course I am. Of course I am.
Ah,
So that's how I got my agent. And she didn't actually, well, I'd written something else that she couldn't sell, but she did eventually sell that book about the journalist to Germany, which
oh,
this is again a serendipitous,
ah,
because for some reason Germany offered me a lot of money for it.
okay.
And also, redundancies were going on at the BBC at the time. So I took redundancy, and I thought, right, I've got enough money now
Yeah.
to give it a go for a
Hmm.
year. And my husband, who is, along with Julia, my greatest champion,
Ah,
he sort of said, yeah, absolutely, let's give it a go.
yeah.
And it worked out.
How scary was that for you though, Mary Jane, to take that leap? Yes, although you maybe had the redundancy money, like for you personally, I bet because it was something that was essentially a hobby for you for a long time
Mm,
and
mm.
something that you weren't ever sure, that you were going to be able to do it full time. Was that scary?
It was scary. Um, it wasn't. It wasn't scary in that I was ready. I was
Okay.
ready to do that. I was ready
Yeah.
to do something different. Very ready for that, and I was pleased to. Although I'd enjoyed all my work with the BBC, lovely people, a great employer, they've been fantastic to me.
Yeah.
Um, I wanted something else, and I knew I
Yeah.
wanted to do the writing, and I thought I've got to do it. And so I was excited
Yeah.
as well. And the children were very much near leaving home. So didn't have that responsibility so
Yeah.
much. Although they always come back.
Yeah.
And they always need you, and they always need money. But anyway,
Do
I
you
mean,
think had you have not had that call from the agent, do you think that would have altered the decision that you made to take redundancy?
that's a very good question. No, I think I would have done it.
Okay,
Would I have done it? Yeah, I think I would have done it. It would have been harder because there was less money to come out on because
of
I obviously had
course.
the advance from Germany. Um, but I'd had enough and I wanted to do and to take that leap.
Like
I
mentally,
was,
you'd already
yeah,
got to that point.
yeah. I mean, I was lucky that I was able to. I mean, I
Yeah,
know some people, there are many, many writers who still work full time because it's very hard. I mean, it's very hard to make a living
I
as a
would
full time
imagine.
writer. Yeah, very
Yeah,
hard. I mean, the sort of the median salary is about £7,500 a year, which is
okay.
not great to live on. But um, so I was lucky from in that point of view, and serendipity played a part. It was scary because when you think, oh, come home from work, I'll just do a bit of writing, see what I can do. Whereas now I was thinking, I've got to write another book. You
Yeah,
know,
the
I,
pressure is
the
on.
pressure is on. Yeah. So but you find ways around that pressure, and I loved it. I
Ah,
I love I loved making up the story. I love this sounds a little bit woo-woo, but I love the feel of the keys
okay.
under my fingers on the computer
Yeah.
or a pen in my hand in my notebook.
Oh.
Yeah, it's just yeah. So it's both scary and exciting.
Mhm. So it's almost like the universe is like telling you where you are most comfortable by giving
Yes,
you those feelings as well. So it's where you're
yes,
supposed to be.
yes, yes.
Ah, so
Yeah.
you've written a lot of contemporary stuff, Mary Jane, haven't you? And
I've written
recently,
4 contemporary novels. Yes.
okay,
Yeah.
and then moved into some historical stuff too. What was there a reason for that kind of transition?
Well, yes. Again, it's just one of those things. Again, it just happened. I had the fourth book published, and that was great. And my editor at HarperCollins, my publisher, was brilliant. She was lovely.
Yeah.
And we talked about the fifth book, and she thought I probably ought to try something else. And we talked over what I might do. And I sort of went away and thought about it. And then about 2 weeks later, I mean, this happens all the time in publishing as well. About 2 weeks later, she rang me and she said, oh, she was leaving HarperCollins.
Oh,
And, thank you very much, but, that's it.
goodbye.
I thought, oh, now what? Because to have a good editor behind you as well as an agent is a
Yeah.
good thing. And she was my champion really as well.
Mhm.
So I had a chat with Teresa, and we decided I'd had an idea for uh, a, a sort of a story that traversed 3 centuries.
Wow.
Okay,
Okay.
a standalone novel. So yeah, we thought. So Teresa said, "Yes, well, let's try that. Give it a go." Because I really wanted to write it. So I wrote it, and COVID happened, and then a couple of other things happened. In that, uh, Teresa couldn't sell the book. Well, Teresa sent the book out, and when she sent it out, as she sent it out, we got the news that one of my sons had cancer.
Oh
So that
God.
was all a bit gutting, really. And I couldn't be bothered with what happened to that book at all.
Yeah,
I,
of
I
course.
didn't worry about it whatsoever. Teresa didn't sell it. I thought, well, I don't care really at the time.
Yeah.
Um, and then the sort of months went on, and Peter had his various operations and all that sort of thing. And I started to sort of think about writing again. It was very hard to do writing
Of course,
over
because your
that
mind
time.
just wasn't
Well, your
there.
emotional, is full, it's not there. You need
Yeah.
to have sort of emotional bandwidth and all that. And then I met with my agent, and she said, "Well, what would you like to write now?" And I said, "Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure." And she said, "Well, do you fancy historical?" I said, "Oh, I don't know." And she said, "Well, do you like anything?" And I said, "Well, I love reading about the Cold War and
Okay.
after the war."
Yeah.
And she said, "Oh, well, and then I think we were on our second bottle of Prosecco. And she said, I think that's a very good idea. And I said, I think it's a really good idea as well. And she said, I think Beattie is a good name. And I said, yes, absolutely. Beattie.
Yeah.
I really like that. Beattie Cavendish sounds good.
Um,
So I went away, and then another thing happened is that one of my brothers and I had been talking about our parents,
right.
who are both dead, but they'd gone through the war,
Okay.
and they'd had my mother had there was always sort of a little bit of a shadow over what she'd done, whether she'd been doing something secret and all this sort of. Probably
Interesting.
not. Probably not. But there's always a sort of family story. And then
Yeah.
my father had he won a medals and stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
And we also wondered, there were two ordinary people, and then going back to ordinary life after the war.
Yeah.
And I always thought that my mother, who obviously married my father after the war, had the children, brought us up, didn't go to work, did some lot of voluntary work
Yeah.
here and there, and when we'd all left home, did more voluntary work. And I always thought she would have been a great politician, or a great, if
Yeah.
she'd had the chance to do it. But of course, in those days, women didn't really, after the
No.
war, there were no jobs for women really. They were
Hmm.
shoved aside. Women weren't expected to do stuff. They were expected to go back to be hostesses and
Yeah.
wives and all that sort of thing. So that also influenced my character, because I wanted my character to actually reject that, reject
Yeah.
the marriage, the children, the being a good wife, and doing something special for her. So that's how
Oh,
her character sort of evolved as well.
amazing. Well, so obviously you go about researching the historical detail for your novels by, using your own experiences or people that you know. Do you find that you maybe drew anything from the people that you interviewed in your time as a journalist as well and kind of stored those memories away?
Oh, that's a very good thought. It possible. I
Yeah.
don't know. I know I mind my for the four contemporary novels, I mind my children's childhoods terribly, and lots of little family stories that sort of keep occurring. And I've also in Beattie Cavendish and the White Pearl Club, and the second Beattie Cavendish I've written,
Yeah.
I've mined my father's war stories as well. But as to whether when talking to people, um, I don't know. I think what you do is you get a sense of what people are like, and
Mhm.
that's a very good question, and one I'd have to give thought to.
Okay.
But I think they always say write about what you know.
Definitely.
Okay, but I always think it doesn't mean to say I had to write about a journalist. I mean, people who write murders are not murderers
Yeah.
necessarily.
Hopefully not.
I think what you know is how you feel when something happens.
Yes.
Yeah, don't you? You know how you feel when someone dies. You know how you feel when your best friend gets married. You know how you
Yeah.
feel when the love of your life walks out. Do you know what I
Hmm.
mean? So that's
Definitely.
what you know. And I think maybe just from talking to a lot of people, you do get a lot of experiences. I think probably for my contemporary novels, having talked to a lot of people in villages in Suffolk, because we used to do a program where we'd go around villages and chat to people and play their
Brilliant.
favourite music.
Hmm.
Um, you sort of get a sense of what village life is like and was like, and
Yeah.
what people are like and how they relate to other people. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. Because like it's when you were saying earlier about how you were like a sponge and you just
Mm,
kind of, I wonder whether some of that kind of settled and maybe helped spark some of the amazing ideas that you have.
very likely, I think, very likely. Especially because obviously on BBC website, you're writing a lot of crime stories,
Okay.
and that's obviously some of that feeds through.
Yeah.
Uh, you can get ideas from that, and the ideas of the sort of people who commit crimes or who are affected by and how they're affected by it, which I think is probably, yeah, the best way of saying that. And I was thinking again back to my parents, how they were affected by the war in that they never spoke about it.
Yeah.
It wasn't until they were in their sort of dying years that they ever said anything. And it was only when my father had had a couple of pints that my brother would
Mm.
ever get any stories out of him.
Yeah.
And it was only when my mother was she was getting dementia, and she spoke a lot more about
Yeah.
the war then than she'd ever done before,
Oh, bless
So
her.
not quite sure what I'm saying there, but I think, these things sort of happen, don't they?
Yeah, definitely.
Mm.
And how do you think that setting a book in post Second World War Europe will like maybe help influence the young generation today? Like, because you're doing it from a humanistic point of view rather than like factual war, or it's not like a book about battles. So I think it's really important that you're adding the human side of people, because obviously you've seen it firsthand with your parents.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, for me, story is character, plot is character. Characters
Yeah.
are what you want the books, why you read a book, really. I
Yeah.
think if you don't like the characters, you're not invested in the story, I
Hmm.
think. So I think getting the characters right was the biggest thing, and hopefully, it will. If people, younger people will read it because it's a good story. It's quite a fun story as well. I mean,
Ah.
fun. Maybe fun's not the right word, but it's interesting.
Interesting.
And and I think, well, I hope. I mean, I've had a lot of feedback to say that the characters are really good. So
Ah.
I'd like people to just get invested in the story. And there
Hmm.
are, it's not, I can say it's based on fact, but things that are in the book
Yeah.
actually did happen. Some of the
Okay.
events did happen. I can't really say, otherwise I'll give away all the plot, but
Yes, don't want to give too much
uh,
away. And I think as well, though, isn't it amazing the power of books and storytelling? The fact that we as humans can identify with other humans regardless of what generation or what era
yeah,
they
yes.
grew up in, you know?
Yes, yes, you're right. I mean, the power of words. I mean, I mean, you can see the power of words on social media all the time, can't you?
Definitely.
And how we have to sometimes be quite careful about the words
Yeah.
that we choose. But storytelling, I mean, you just have to think of telling a story to a little one,
Yeah.
and reading a book to a little one, and the sort of the wonder in their
Mhm.
little faces, and when you're reading it to them.
I think
Yeah,
we never lose that, do we? Even as
no,
adults, it's very
no.
much, it can be such an escapism as well.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when Peter was ill, I mean, that's what I did. I read lots of
Right.
books because I mean that, to escape into another world with different people
Yeah.
was a good sort of and it makes you calm, calmer,
Yeah.
made me sort of feel better and calmer. And yeah.
And
So I
and
think
like you said, so you were reading, but I would imagine that you were still having ideas, and maybe at times when you have struggled, writing has probably been a release for you as well.
yes, because again, you can escape into a different world,
Yeah.
and you can think about your characters. And I do get very, I mean, I get I get very absorbed when I'm reading. I get very absorbed when I'm writing. And my husband always says sometimes he talks to me, and then about 20 minutes later I'll answer him because I've just been so
Yeah.
so absorbed in doing stuff.
Oh,
Um, yes, I think stories. I never like it when I don't like it's not like the word, but when people say, "Oh, they don't read," I think, "Oh,
yeah.
you're missing such a lot."
Yeah,
There's such a.
definitely.
I don't mind if people read comics, the backs of cornflake packets, anything like
Hmm.
that. I think any reading is good and can just be so helpful as
Yeah,
well.
definitely. Did you always envisage Mary Jane as Beattie being a series, or did you think it was just going to be a standalone, or was that your idea from the beginning?
Yeah, no, the idea was that it would be a series.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
Because
Um,
is it because you knew that there was more to her than one book?
yes, yes. I thought, well, if I'm going to have this, because I've got Beattie and she's got her foil, the Irish private detective as well.
Ah,
And I wanted to have that will they, won't they ish sort of connection between them. And I wanted
yeah.
to be able to explore that over several books. I mean, I don't know how long it'll be. Because initially I was thinking of Beattie as being possibly in her early 30s, but my agent
Okay.
said no, I should make her younger because then the series will go on more.
Yeah.
which is looking at it from a purely practical point of view, rather than a writery point of view. But um, yeah, so yes, it's always been intended to be a series, which is interesting because my contemporary novels, which were a series, the four, I didn't never intended them to be a series.
Oh,
But
wow.
I wrote the first one, and then they wanted another one with the same characters. So it's sort of, and it
Amazing.
was quite hard in that way because at least with Beattie, I've been able to think how I might
How she would
develop
evolve.
it. Yes, how it's all going
Yeah.
to evolve. Whereas with the other ones, it was quite difficult because
Mhm.
I, I'd written it as a one book, and now I've had to
Yeah.
sort of think
What do
about,
they do now?
yes, what's happening now?
Yes.
Yes.
But wonderful though, almost like it was an adventure for you at the same time to find out what happens next to the
Yes,
characters.
yes, yes,
That's
yes.
brilliant.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
so you touched upon earlier about that you have done a lot of work with the University of East Anglia, specifically helping different groups like from young offenders.
yeah. Yes, well, that was a different thing. I mean, I did a course, or I taught a couple of courses at the UEA, um, for prose fiction. It was for
Okay.
adult education, adult learners, which was great. I loved that, and I think I taught one on romantic fiction. That was quite a while ago. And also a couple of friends and I did. We did some work with scientists at the UEA, science students,
Okay.
so that to try and make them make their dissertations, their PhDs, a bit more intelligible for people, because it
Wow,
could be
that's
quite
really
dense,
interesting.
which is also something I touched on with my work with the Royal Literary Fund, which was another thing I did.
Yeah.
But with these two friends, we sort of did this work with the UEA, and we also did separate from doing stuff with the UEA, we did stuff with disabilities with the prison,
Okay.
and we also went to Nigeria and did to a conference and did a lot of writing workshops with aid workers,
Wow.
which was fascinating because they all had stories to tell.
Yeah.
They didn't know how to tell them or who to tell them to. So
Oh,
we were sort of helping to give them a voice. And I mean, for example, we were taking this writing workshop in a big room in this hotel, and all the power went out, as it did several times when we were there, and it was pitch black because it was an inside room. But they
okay.
all got their phones out, put their lights on, and they still carried on writing. They were so keen,
Oh,
they loved it, that they carried on writing, and that was a it was a fabulous experience to be able to do these writing workshops, and quite humbling as well because their
I
stories,
bet.
some of them are quite harrowing,
Yeah.
um, but hopefully it was a good thing to do. So that was very good and useful,
And rewarding for
and
you as well.
rewarding,
Yeah,
and also informs your own writing. Everything like that informs one's
definitely.
own writing in some way or another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But writing, I would imagine, can be such a solitary process. And I know you
Mm.
said, your husband comes in and then you don't answer him for 20 minutes. But how do you balance like that family life and like getting out in the Suffolk countryside that you clearly are so passionate about?
Well, I go for we go for a lot of walks. I go for a lot of walks with we've got a dog,
Okay.
and he is always interested in what I'm writing because I tell him my
Oh,
plots quite a lot. And my husband Kim is very good if I get stuck and I can talk it through. And
yeah.
often he'll just have a suggestion, or by talking it through, it solves the problem. But I'm not a writer that can sit at my desk from 9 until 5,
Okay.
or even 9 till 12. I can write for, I suppose, a couple of hours is
Yeah.
really maximum.
Like
I
bursts.
can't, yeah, I just can't do burst writing. And usually I say to myself, and this is a really good tip, because otherwise it gets overwhelming. I say, right, I'm going to write for half an hour now. And so I write for half an hour and I stop and I go make a cup of coffee or go out or do
Yeah.
something. But most often I find I'm carrying on writing because
Oh,
I haven't got the pressure. I haven't put my
yeah.
pressure on myself to say I'm going to write all day. I say I'm just going to write half an hour. And that's, the pressure's not there then.
Yeah.
you know.
And then you're taking the choice back then, aren't you?
Yes, yes, exactly,
But
exactly.
did it become difficult for you though, Mary Jane, to have the pressure of writing full time? Did it at any point take the, when you've got a job, like, but you've got something that you really enjoy,
Yeah.
did it take any sparks away of like that passion for writing for you because you knew that you had to do it full time?
Well, that's a really interesting question as well, because I can write a book a year very happily.
Okay.
So Beattie Cavendish took me a year to write, and write and edit and get it ready for sending
Yeah.
out. Um, and then they wanted a second book, another Beattie Cavendish book, and they wanted it in 5 months. Now
Okay.
I luckily, I knew they wanted a second one because I had a two book contract that time.
Okay.
And so I had started the research for it, and I'd written like 6,000 words of it. So
Yeah.
thankfully I started, but and I enjoyed writing the book because I enjoyed the story. I
Yeah.
enjoyed the way the characters were developing. I didn't like the fact that I felt I couldn't take the afternoon to go to the cinema or something,
Okay.
because I feel a bit
Yeah.
guilty. I feel I needed to get my 1,500 words written that
Yeah.
day. So there was that, but it didn't really take the enjoyment away, no.
Amazing.
But I wouldn't want to do it again.
Yes,
I don't want
definitely.
to do a 5 month job again. I'm not that sort of. Some people can do it, and a lot of writers do two books a year. Um, I mean, I could do it,
Yeah.
but if I did nothing else. But I like going for walks. I like going out with my husband when I
Yeah.
can, because he's retired, and I don't want to leave him sitting, on his own all day, every day.
Yeah.
Not he does, but I want to do other things. So a book a year is my sort of thing. And I met Teresa and my agent and I met up at Harrogate Crown Writing Festival this year, and I said to her,
Oh.
I am not doing that again, the 5 month
Don't even
thing.
ask me.
She said, "Oh, noted, noted." So I hope that doesn't happen again. But it
Oh,
didn't take the enjoyment out. But I think it might if I had to do it all the time like
yes.
that.
Yeah, definitely. So what's coming next for Beattie Cavendish, Mary Jane?
Well, I'm researching the third one at the moment,
Okay.
and I know it's going to be set in Vienna,
Oh,
which is going to be
lovely.
rather nice. And yes, we'll see what happens. Lots of Russians,
Interesting.
lots of spying.
Okay. Would you ever revisit your contemporary stuff with the journalist?
Yes, I would. I would
Okay.
actually. If somebody said to me, I'll give you some money to write the next one,
Yeah.
then yes, I would, because uh, I think I'd write it better actually. And
Okay.
I just
Interesting.
feel I'm a better writer now.
Yeah.
Um, and
I
I
wonder what she'd
feel,
be up to now as well.
well, I know. I mean, it's a while since she's since she came out of her closet. So yeah, I'd have to really have to think quite deeply. But having said that, I feel I found my home, my writing home.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, in
Okay.
the post-war stuff, in the
Yeah.
historical stuff. I just feel it suits my writing,
Okay.
and suits my writing style, suits my this mysterious thing they call voice.
Yeah.
You know. Um, yeah. So I would do it, and I would do another one because, funny enough, saw someone this weekend who said, "Oh, are you going to do any more Alex Devlin stories?" And I
Ah.
said, "Well, I don't know." She said, "Oh, I love them. I love them so much," which was lovely
Oh.
to hear, of course. But yeah, so if somebody asked me and somebody paid me, I probably would.
Okay.
But I'm more than happy to stay with BT because I like her so much.
Oh.
And I like I mean, I find the Cold War period where everybody was worried about the Red Menace and nuclear war, and
Yeah.
it sounds not like unlike this today, really, doesn't it? But you know what I mean? It's I find it fascinating, so
Yeah.
I'm happy there.
Definitely. So many women that will be listening to the podcast,
Mm.
might have a real yearning to be writing a book of their own, or they might
Yeah.
be creative, but they might be at the stage where they're juggling so many responsibilities. What advice would you give to them?
Well, the only advice is First of all, I think you've got to think about why, what you're writing, why you're writing. I mean, I specifically wanted to write to get published for
Yeah,
people to read my stories. As I said to you, some people write for themselves,
yeah,
which is great, and it can be, as I said, very therapeutic. There's a well-known thing where you wake up in the morning and you write your morning pages. So you
yeah.
literally wake up
Journaling.
and yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
Um, and that but people find that really really good and good for the soul, good for the mind.
Yeah.
Or you want to write your memoirs for your family to read.
Hmm.
So I think depending on why you want to write, again, you've got to put your bottom on that chair and write.
Yeah.
You've got to find, people say, I'll write a book when I've had the time.
Hmm.
I mean, it's a bit like saying, I'll have children when I've got some money. Never happens, does it?
No. You certainly
Never
won't have
happens.
them after you've had the kids, no.
So you've got to find the time if you're going to
Yeah.
write it and you're still working full time. It's hard. It is hard, and it's writing and getting published is 99% perspiration,
Yeah.
and 1% talent, really, and luck. Such a lot of luck is
Yeah,
involved.
definitely.
Um, and being in the right place at the right time. I mean, Beattie Cavendish,
Mhm.
it was because the publisher, Allison and Busby, they were looking for a series. And
Wow.
my agent was happened to have lunch with the publisher,
Mhm.
and she said, "I've got the very one you want," and
Ah,
they did.
I love the
So
way that all these things have just like
I know,
intertwined and
I know.
yeah,
I mean, it
gorgeous.
is. You do need that when you know yourself with business. You
Yeah,
do need that bit of luck, don't you?
you do.
Sometimes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
What do you think Ruth would say to you now, Mary Jane?
She'd probably say, "Write better."
Oh, I'm trying, Ruth.
Yes, yes.
Bless. So what's coming next for you?
Well, Beattie Cavendish and the Highland Hideaway is
Okay.
all written. It hasn't got a. It's on Amazon. It hasn't got a cover yet. It hasn't been edited yet. So that's there. And as I say, I'm writing the third one.
Yeah.
And I really ought to be getting on with that, really.
Okay.
Mm.
1,500 words today.
No, no, I'm
Okay.
still reading around it.
Okay. So where can people buy your books?
Any good bookshop.
Okay.
A lot of bookshops will have them in stock, or you can always order them. They'll get it in for you. Obviously, Amazon,
Yeah.
um, bookshop.org.
Mhm.
Libraries will have them. And if
Oh,
your
wow.
library doesn't have it, ask them to get it for you. Because I don't know whether people realize, but when you borrow a book, the author gets a few pennies for it, for the fact you've
Wow,
borrowed
I
it.
never knew that.
Yeah, yeah. And it can be, that's quite healthy, really. You can
Hmm.
just add a little bit more to the income. It's really
Yeah.
good. So that's what I say to people.
So if my friends have got books out, I'm going to the library, borrowing it, and keep renewing it till I
Yes,
pass
that's
it to.
that's it. I feel they might smell a rat if I did that at my
Yeah.
local library. But yes, it's people don't realise that, but it's a really good thing to borrow a book from a library. I mean, I love libraries. Libraries. I mean, when I was a child, I was always in libraries,
Yeah.
and so I think they're marvelous institutions. And nowadays, you get all sorts of things from libraries. You can get ebooks.
Yeah.
From libraries, you get papers, magazines, CDs, DVDs, sports equipment from some of them.
Yeah.
They're incredible now. So
It's
libraries is
amazing.
good. But yeah, all good bookshops and all independent bookshops are.
Okay.
And it's out in
Amazing.
hardback at the moment, which is obviously they're quite expensive hardbacks now. Um, but it'll be out in paperback in February.
Amazing.
It's on Kindle at the moment too, and hopefully at some point it will be on Audible. So
Okay, brilliant. Oh, honestly, Mojo, I could talk to you all day. This has been so wonderful. I'm conscious of the time.
okay.
But
Well, I
I
can talk about writing. I love talking about writing, so I
bless
can talk
you.
forever.
So how can people like keep in contact with you? Do you have like a list or anything or like a website that
I've
people
got a
can join?
website, yes,
Okay.
yes, which I built myself.
Congratulations.
Well, with the help of an author friend, actually. She did a
Yeah.
very good video. She does a very good video course, and I was sort of watching the video course on my laptop and doing the thing on my big screen. So I was quite
Okay.
excited. It's simply maryjaneriley.com.
Okie doke. Well, what I'll do is I'll put that in the show notes, and with a link to it so anybody can
No,
see,
thank you.
and move along. So thank you so much. It's been absolutely wonderful to chat to you. So sorry.
It's okay.
So I don't know if I got the thank you so much or not. So
Okay.
we'll just do the ending.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Mary Jane, for joining me today on the Yes You Can Project podcast. It's been an absolute joy and a pleasure to have you.
No, thanks, Michelle. It's been great chatting to you.
Thank you.